Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices, and you can sign up for product alerts. Hello my friends, Game Boy Geek here. Today I am joined by my friend
Greg Dixon. Thanks for having me again.
And we're getting down to the end, second to last video here, numbers 20 through 11. Now at the beginning of this, before we even started, Greg wrote down ones that he thought were going to be in my top 10.
My predictions.
Two of those have already come out. One of them was in 60 to 51, and the other one was from 40 to 31, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I went back and looked at that today. So two of them already showed up, and he was like sure that all of them were at least in the top 20. So there might be one or two that show up in this list too, but we'll have to find out.
What I'm really curious about is what is going to take the spots of those two. We'll find out next week.
Yeah, you'll find out next week. Yeah, you'll find out next week. Now, I just launched a video a few days before this, which is basically just me going through how to play these games that we're about to talk about. And so if you want to learn a little bit more about the gameplay of those, go back to that. This is more of like you're a fly on the wall in our living room as we talk about my list. So here we go. We're going to start with number 20. All right, number 20. This is an area control game with a lot of negotiation. It's set in the late 1800s in New York.
This is number 20.
And you're trying to become mayor by collecting on favors of the different population groups.
Could this possibly be Tammany Hall?
Did you think? Yeah, I've had a feeling you thought this was going to be.
I'm not shocked at all this is in the top 20.
Yeah, but it wasn't in your envelope.
Let me see. I don't think it was a top 10 prediction.
I thought this one.
No, it wasn't.
No, okay, I thought you were going to think this was in my top 10.
Oh, I would have been shocked if it wasn't in your top 20, but I didn't think it was quite top 10.
Well, it wasn't on purpose that it hit 20. It just happened to have been.
Plays of this are very dependent on groups, the group you're playing with. Some plays are better than others, but it's always at least good, and sometimes it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we recently played this at the cabin with a bunch of our people that have been playing games with forever.
Yeah.
We played all of our favorites that weekend, and this one I still loved it.
Yeah.
But it probably fell a little bit because it did, I don't know, it wasn't like the best play ever. And then we played so many other great things that weekend too.
Well, it's very reliant on the negotiation and people being willing to kind of...
But we all love negotiation.
Yeah, but I think we had been playing a lot of cutthroat games, and as a result, we were a little less like in the mood to make deals and stuff. And this game really hinges on that. And we've talked about some other games before, like Article 27 and stuff.
Yeah.
That are that way as well. If people are just kind of sit back and don't engage, then some of these games kind of suffer as a result.
I think we played this like later at night.
Yeah, and I think we played after we'd played the bulk of other games, all of which were similarly cutthroat and in your face.
You're saying we were tired of being mean to each other?
I think we were tired of like making deals. It was like we were more like just sitting back, like whatever, we'll see what happens, you know. Yeah. Which you could play this way.
Yeah, it's a mean game. If you like mean games, this is mean.
I mean, the only way you win is by direct hurting your opponents.
Specifically betraying someone.
Yeah, betraying them, taking over their area.
Yeah, I think this was the game that has made me the most angry from any game on my list. And it was you that did it.
I can think of another game you were pretty mad at. I think that one will come up later too. But any of these sorts of games that have this negotiation and this like area control and fighting over space, of course, it's always prone for that. You have to be in the right mood.
It's a longer game, so it doesn't come out quite as often.
Yeah, it's not too crazy long.
But a lot of our plays get close. Sometimes get close to 3 hours.
Yeah, I think
it always starts off fast, and then towards the end, it just takes forever.
Well, because each area matters so much.
Yeah.
And you're really trying to scratch out whatever you can in each zone. I think most people's mileage will vary considerably from that. I think it should be less than 2, hour and a half to 2.
I would say at least bet for a 2-hour game.
Yeah.
To be safe.
With learning and setup and
but
all
it's
that.
great.
Not the best rule book either, as I recall.
No, it's not very good.
Not a good rule book. Play it anyway,
glad it came
people.
back in print. Panasaurus brought it back, and
Yeah.
it's sitting right behind you. There you go, Tammany Hall.
Great choice.
Number 19. This is a very tactical card game. It's mainly a two-player game. And it has to do with sports, but it's not baseball.
I was going to say, there's no way it's baseball highlights.
Yeah. And
I don't know where that's landing, but it's not here.
It's
It's higher.
Yeah, and this is a very popular American sport.
Did you say it was sports related?
Yeah.
Tactical? It's not the football version of it, is it? What's that called? Baseball, football, or football highlights, something. I can't remember the year.
Football highlights 2052.
I've played the other one, but I haven't played this one.
Yeah. Well, you didn't like the other one, you probably wouldn't like this one.
I think the other one was fine, but it felt more like a baseball game than a deck builder game.
Yeah.
To me.
I would say that.
And so I love deck building, and I'm meh about baseball. I mean, I'll go to a game, but I don't follow it or anything.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think that's like, to me, these are like the deck builders for people who don't like deck builders.
This one is very different where it's not deck building.
Oh, what is it?
It's...
Well, you've already talked about this in the last video.
No. It's a very tactical card game.
Yeah.
But it's more drafting because
Okay.
at halftime, new players come out and you go through a snake draft. And you're one by one taking like 5 new people.
But you said it's 2-player primarily. Does it work with 3 or 4?
You can do it comes with
Yeah.
enough that you can play a tournament,
Okay.
but it's really...
It's meant to be. It's
Yeah.
best at just 2.
Yeah. Oddly enough, and I mentioned this in the other video, but like, I know this is like probably the most... It was theme first that Mike Fitzgerald designed this with. Like, I'm making a football game. And
Sure.
made everything match. And it's really clever where someone plays a card, and then I have to decide which card I'm going to play to try to stop that. But what happens is that card then flips, and now that's my play. So you're always thinking about, I want to do something to stop you, but I'm also at the same time selecting what I'm going to do.
So each card has like a defensive and an offensive play
and
on
on
it,
the
basically?
opposite sides of the card. The decision making in this is awesome. Where it's like, I have the perfect card to stop you, but it's not what I want to do, what I
Right.
wanted to do next turn. But I have a card that I could probably score next turn, but if I do this with this one, you might score now too. So the decision making is just so brilliant.
Sounds like you're constantly weighing out the priorities.
Always.
Is it more important to stop them or
And
to do my own?
you don't draw cards after you play them. So you have a hand of cards
Okay.
each half, and your choices get less and less, which means you have to you look at your hand of cards, like, oh, I'll do
Right.
this, then this, then this, and then everything gets thrown
Are
out
you
of
also
water.
building a team like in baseball highlights?
Well, it comes with a starter team, and then you can change it
Okay.
at halftime. You can draft it from the beginning, but
Okay.
you can just start with a team.
Okay.
But oddly enough, as much as this is the best football game ever, but oddly enough, like this could easily have been like a dragon dungeon theme,
Interesting.
where like we're both trying to get as close to the dragon as possible, so we
Yeah.
can melee combat and hit him with a sword for 6 points.
Interesting.
But if in 4 tries we don't get there, we're close enough. We could pick up a rock and throw it at them for 1 point, right? I'm trying to stop you from getting close. You're trying to stop me from getting close.
Yeah.
And we're both trying to this literally could be anything,
Yeah.
which is odd because I know that this was theme first.
It sounds like it could be like a Castle Siege
It
kind of
could.
game or anything.
And it's so odd because normally a game that was made with theme first, you
Yeah.
would never be able to do that with.
Yeah.
But for that's why I say that to say, yes, you'll enjoy it more if you like football.
Right.
American football, not
Yes.
soccer,
not
what we call
what
soccer.
we call
which,
soccer, yeah.
And by the way, I don't know why we call it football.
There's
game's
like 2
always-
kicks in the whole game.
The games always come down to those.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say that is because if you're not big into football, if you don't even like it or you don't even know how to play it,
Right.
you could still like the game because of the mechanics in it.
Yeah.
So there you go. I know that you.
This is one I'd be happy to try,
Yeah.
but I haven't.
Yeah. Tactically, if you like 2-player card games, it's
Yeah.
a tug of war like no one else.
Interesting.
It's awesome. Football Highlights 2052. This next one is a cooperative game with no communication.
Ooh.
It's a small little game.
There's like 3 that come to mind right
it's
away.
like a small little game.
Are you a psychic?
Did it win the Spiel des Jahres? It was at least nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. And we were taught it
think it
by
was.
Board Game Geek's Eric Martin at Gamma before it came out.
Yeah.
We played it like 18 times in a row.
He came up and said, do you want to see a Spiel des Jahres nominee? Or maybe you said the Spiel des Jahres winner. But he was confident it was going to go far, and he was right.
Yeah. You know
Of
it.
course, the mind. We're talking about the mind.
We were talking about another Pandasaurus game.
Now, they have a great catalog of games.
Yeah.
They're killing it lately. Now, have you played the extreme version?
I have it, but I haven't.
Really?
Because I know that's one where you play like face down,
You're
right?
playing like 2 different stacks.
Yeah.
I've only played a few times, and it's been a while. It didn't stick like this one did.
Yeah.
But of course, this one
This
was
one
also
has an
new to us.
extreme variant where you play
Yeah.
everything face down. I tried that once. And then
No.
when I read the rules for the extreme game,
Yeah.
I was like, well, it's kind of like that.
It's
so I was like,
kind of, yeah.
I was like, I didn't even bother trying it because I was just like, I didn't like that. Why would
Yeah.
I like this? That's like even more. Like, I'm fine with this.
So
I've only beat this like maybe 3 times, and I've easily played it more than 50.
So the funny thing is, and I think he commented on one of the old videos, we mentioned a friend of ours who's sadly since moved out of state, but we used to game with him all the time. And I taught this to him and I think his wife one time. The 3 of us were playing. Maybe my wife was out of town with the kids, I can't remember. And I was like, okay, this is really hard. Don't expect to win. You know, you're trying to basically like time this out and read each other's minds, so to speak. And, you know, I've played this almost 100 times and I beat it once or twice. And we played it, 3 of us, and beat it the first time.
That's crazy.
And they're like, okay, that was cute. I'm like, trust me, this is not normal how this goes.
Seriously.
You usually lose because you basically just have to feel the pace of the group that you're playing with. And because it's so group dependent, you find yourself falling into a rhythm that's different with that group than with any other group. And I love that sort of above the table aspect of this game.
Yeah.
But they were just naturals. Maybe they're like mind readers. Maybe they have like a crystal ball hidden somewhere and I didn't even know it.
This is one of those games you can keep in your car and just play like at the restaurant while you wait for your food.
Oh, this is a great...
When this first came out, I was so nuts over this, and I was in a line for a concert. And 4 of us were playing this in the line of a concert. One person was just holding the box in the middle, and we were putting the cards down, playing as we're like slowly waiting for the concert to open up. It's like,
everyone in line with you is like, why are they raising their hand? Yeah. Why isn't this group talking to each other?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very light game, but it's so high because it's like nothing else, and the experience is always fantastic. And I've brought a lot of new people into the hobby with this game.
Yeah, some people hate on it, but I think it's incredibly innovative.
Yeah.
I think you talk about a game with very few rules where they're able to capture the theme with the mechanics.
Yeah.
Like it does that so well.
Yeah.
Because the idea is you're reading each other's minds, right? You're like forming this psychic bond.
But you do.
And you really do feel like that happens.
You get better and better.
Yes.
If you play with the same group.
With the same people.
You get in sync without it.
You die on level 2 the first time. You play the same group again, it's level 4, and then it's 6, and then it's 8, and you're like, how are we getting better?
Yeah.
And it's just you're feeling out that rhythm of that group. It's really interesting.
It is. It's awesome.
And I think it's been talked about so much that people are tired of hearing about it, but I always, with games like this that are really innovative, I like to harken back to the first time I played them and think about how I felt.
Yeah.
And we were just like, whoa, this is weird. This is so cool.
This
and we
is
just
one that
wanted to
still
play
doesn't
it
feel
over and
old.
over and over again. No. And I've played this 100+ times easily.
Yeah.
And like you said, I probably only beat it, well, with that one couple, but I probably only beat it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, me too.
Easiest, if I remember right, at 2.
Yeah.
Even though you play more levels, there's just less people interacting.
To mess with,
So you really just have to get in sync with one person. Yeah.
There you go. Mine, number 18.
Good choice.
Number 17. Well, this is a game where earlier in the list I talked about a few games that were going to be on my list further down that were ones that I didn't really like that much at first. I thought they were okay, and this was one of the ones that I got rid of for a while.
Wow, number 17. It really won you over.
And there's actually 2 more even higher that this same phenomenon has happened, where I was like lukewarm on it, and then later on just...
Is it the same thing for all of them? Like is there some universal thing that brings you back?
Well, the thing so for this is an abstract game, probably the most popular one out there. It won the Spiel des Jahres, and it had way too much hype when it first came out.
Azul.
Yeah. And so the original.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, by the time I had gotten my box, I was like about a week or 2 behind everyone else.
It'd been really built up.
And it had been built up so much that it was unfair. Like nothing could have lived up to those expectations. So when you get this thing, you're like, this is good. And if I hadn't heard from anybody, I would be on the the block yelling out how great this game is too, right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't. So I was like, I had already been like, the expectations were too high. I was like, it's good. It's fine. I like it.
I see movies opening weekend.
It's like, I like it. So I didn't end up keeping it.
Wow, you got rid of it.
Yeah.
Wow. What brought it back?
Well, we'll find out in a couple of numbers.
Wait, there's more story here, huh?
Okay. But in the end,
stay tuned.
I've come back to this,
and
I have been able to appreciate it more now. Standing back and being like, okay, let's.
Well, appreciate it more. Number 17. I mean, you love this thing,
right? And another thing that did help, which is kind of a little unfair, is I've played it a ton, but I've also gotten the expansions, the expansion. Which adds another double-sided board, which gives you a lot more, even more variability.
Yeah.
I've also bought some of the new tiles that are nothing, just different colors. But when you play on the side of the boards that like or more free. You get
Yeah.
to like, so I don't know. It just it keeps the longevity
adds,
of it.
yeah.
But I love puzzly games. I like abstract
Yeah.
games, and
It's a spatial puzzle,
I've
which
come
you like.
back to it, and I still, when I've done playing this, I'm still like, this is such a good game.
You do talk about this a lot. Like you'll bring it up a lot.
Yeah.
And the other versions as well. I know you're excited about the new version, which
Oh, the Queen's
the fourth
Garden.
one in the series.
Queen's
right?
Garden. I can't wait to play it.
Yeah. So you've stayed with the series. You've liked them all.
Yeah, I have. There were none that I disliked. I actually have all of them now, but this one was surprising to me because again, it was one that I
Why
got
do you
rid
think
of.
you gave it more plays after playing it once or twice and going, "This doesn't live up to the hype"? Like,
We-
what brought you back to
We will
it?
talk about that.
Okay.
In 2 numbers.
I keep trying to like get more out of you. Okay.
We're
Stay
gonna,
tuned.
We're gonna finish this story in a couple
There's people
numbers.
tapping forward
know.
on the little
I
screen. Let's just get to that one.
No, but you
I like this one, but I agreed with you. It was way overhyped.
Right.
I didn't play it when it was
you
brand
still own
new.
it?
Yeah, I still own it.
Do you play it a lot or
No, I don't play it a lot, but I'll happily play it if it comes out. And I played the Sintra one as well, I
Yeah.
think. I don't
This-
think I've played all 3.
This is so mean though.
Oh, I
like,
like
you can totally hose someone
Yes.
by like you look at their board.
part of
and
what I
the
like
player
about
board,
it.
And you're like, I'm gonna take this. I don't even need it, but
Yeah.
it is gonna hose them.
Yes, it's brutal.
It is.
You're hate drafting.
It is. Yeah.
But
And it
yeah.
works great with 2. Which is a really good thing.
That's the player count I've played the most at.
Yeah.
And I played it a ton, and I like it, but I think partially because it was so overhyped, it never quite measured up to that. But I agree that it's worthy of top 100
Yeah.
lists, and I wouldn't fault anyone for loving it.
Yeah, if you asked me a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, I don't remember. It hasn't been on that long, but
Yeah.
even a year ago, if you'd asked me, this wouldn't even have made my list.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm eager to hear in a couple
There you go.
numbers
Number 7, Azul. It is very good.
how it got back on your radar.
Yeah, but don't let me do the same thing that happened to me. Just play it and think it's gonna. Yeah, I don't want you to be like, oh, he thinks it's so great, and you're gonna play it and you're gonna do the same thing I did, which was, it's good. You know, it does. The repeat plays
Yes.
really does burn well with this.
It
still
feels
gets better.
super light, and so you go, okay, I see what this is. You don't realize how much is going on for such a light rule set until you have played it a few times.
There's a lot of depth to dig up in this
Yeah.
that you won't even see till 10,
Yeah.
20 plays.
And that's part of what's great about it. I probably overused the word elegance, but it
Yeah.
does have an elegance to it
Yep.
that it doesn't really emerge until you've played it a few times.
There you go. The very popular Azul.
Blue.
The next one is also a sort of abstract puzzly game where you're drafting, in this case, dice, and you're building your own little thing.
Sagrada.
Gosh.
Now, this one I've only played once or twice.
Oh, man, it's so good.
It was the same thing. It was super hyped, and I finally played it late, whatever late is, a month or 2, maybe 6 after it was really getting
Yeah.
hyped. And I was like, okay, but I know I need to play this again.
Yeah.
Because it continues to come, they continue to do more with it and expansions and all that. I still see people posting about it on social media.
It's beautiful.
It feels like an evergreen. It feels like something that people are going to be playing 10 years from now. So, and I think the time, maybe I've only played it once, maybe twice. But one of the times, if maybe the only time, it was like late at night. I'd already played a bunch of other games. They're like, oh, let me show you Sagrado, somebody. And I was like, okay, but I was tired and all that. So
Especially if you add the expansions. If you add all of the expansions at once, this does to Sagrada what the expansion for Baron Park did to Baron Park.
Right.
Which is, it took it from like a very approachable game
to
one that like mechanically doesn't make it a whole lot more hard, but like the brain burn from it is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I think you should give at least the base game
I
a
would
try.
I would happily play it some more because I know that it's like I like the stained
It's
glass.
also mean. You hate drafting the dice.
Yeah.
Another thing that really made this a lot better than it used to be was the 5 to 6 player expansion. And not because you could just play with 5, 6 players, they introduced a private dice pool. Where now, because one of the things that isn't great about the base game is it does a serpentine draft. So if you're the first player to take a die, you're waiting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turns to get your last die. Where so you can play with this private dice pool even with just 2 players.
Okay.
Where you get 2 dice of each color at the beginning of the game, they get rolled, and forward planning for the rest of the game. I have access to this die.
That sounds cool.
And so you're actually drafting less dice, but you have forward planning, and that really took this game from like really good to like in this range.
Yeah.
So it's great on its own, but the 5 to 6 player expansion is what really brings it to this level because of the private dice pool. Plus, they added all sorts of new goals and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, these are both this one and Azul are games I hear you talking about all the time.
And this is super puzzly.
They've been
other
staples
than
for you for a long
deduction and
time.
negotiation games, I'd say like puzzly games is like my other favorite.
Like your whole list almost is party games, deduction, gateway games, and like spatial puzzles. Like there's very few exceptions.
With some odd heavier Euro games.
A couple
mixed
of
in.
random Euros. Power Grid I think was in there. What's it called? Pulsar 2049. And then the bomb one. What's it called?
Oh, Manhattan Project.
Manhattan Project, yes. But those are like the exception. Your bread and butter is these kind of games, and it feels like Gateway and Next Step games too are kind of your bread and butter too. Because I think a priority it seems like for you, and that's one of the things I've noticed going through this list, is games you can introduce non-gamers to.
But are still good with gamers.
Yeah. That's your sweet spot.
Well, it's because that's.
Well, you like spreading the word of good games. That's like your motivation for your channel.
We'll talk more about that in the next video. So number 16.
So many teasers and spoilers.
Something you need to play again.
I do need to play this one again.
Number 16, Sagrada. Number 15, we're going to get to the second half of the story.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm on pins and needles here.
So, the reason why I got back to Azul after playing it, liking it, thinking it's okay, and then doing it is because the next one came out.
Okay.
And I fell in love with that version of the game.
So this is the second one.
Yes.
And I haven't played the third one yet. Of course, I haven't played the fourth one yet.
Yes. Most people's favorite is the third if you're like a diehard gamer.
Yeah.
And that's actually my least favorite.
Really?
I still really like it.
Yeah.
It rewards longer term planning, but way less pivoting. You have a strategy and you're gonna kind of figure it out early, and you're gonna have to stick with that the whole game.
Does it feel monotonous? Because sometimes there's games where they feel repetitive.
There's a lot of comboing, and it's very satisfying in that way.
Yeah.
But you're way more focused. Where these are very much like, I have to know right now and pivot. I was going to do this, but now this has changed, and now I got to do something different.
Yeah.
I like that better in games than staying on one track the whole time. And
well, sometimes when you stay on one track the whole time, it can get repetitive.
Yeah, but most people love that one the most.
Okay.
This is my favorite of them.
Interesting.
Because this one's actually easier to teach than the original.
Yeah,
the scoring system.
I felt that way too about it.
You score this one that you finish, and everything to the right. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's actually easier than the original.
I want to play this one more because I remember really liking it, but I never picked it up.
It's, oh my gosh, this it's so good. Like the decision point, and we talked earlier about getting hosed in the original Azul.
Yeah.
So with this one, you can look a few turns ahead and go, oh crap, I'm going to get messed up. You can take your little guy and for your turn, almost skip your turn and move back.
That's right.
And other people could do it too, but if you figure out how to time that out right, like if you could see it a few turns in a row and be like, I'm going to time this so that I'm going to be able to move back if someone else does. Mm-hmm. It's just, it gives that aspect another layer of depth that's like, I still haven't figured out, and I played this one 50 times.
So you pulled this one out. I mean, you got this one out
and fell in love with it,
and then you're like, maybe I should try the original.
I was like, man, I love this one so much. I'm like, I wonder if now that I've played this one so many times, if I go back, if I'll maybe appreciate the other one more.
Do you?
I did.
These are so close to each other, 15 and 17. Do you feel like there's a possibility that they'll kind of fluctuate and one will pass the other and then back and forth?
I don't think
eternally this one's better than the other for you?
I think this one's always going to be better for me, even though it doesn't have any expansions. I just love this one. I just like better.
Now, you said it's easier to teach, but do you think it's more gateway than the original?
No, I don't think so. I just
easier to teach, but more complexity. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's just because the scoring's a little fiddly in the first one.
Yeah.
That's it. But that's what brought me back, because I played this one and then backed back into it. Was like, wait a minute, Because I start playing this with other people, and they're like, "Oh, I love this one." I'm like, "Well, there's other ones.
Yeah.
This one actually won Game of the Year. Oh, really? I want to play that one. Okay, I'll play it again with you.
I'm so curious about the fourth one now.
The fourth one
How it's
is
gonna
more
land
game.
amongst
There's actually
all of them.
more going on.
You think
they're
progressively becoming more and more complex? Maybe
they are.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about the fourth, like in all these, you're dealing with just color.
Yeah.
Just grab a tile, it's a color. Well, this next one is the color and the symbol on there has something to do with it.
Right.
And you're building almost route building and building things around and scoring points that way. But you're also only looking at one tile of goods as opposed to like 5. And once that empties, a new one comes out. So it's like a very different decision space, even on the drafting as well. So
I'm predicting your second favorite series of games.
Yeah, probably. It's good. I love it. This one's great. And I put them both on the list in 2 different spots because they are 2 different games. They share a lot of the same DMA, but
Because you added the 2 Santorinis, I think you had as like one
I
entry.
did.
So it's kind of interesting, like how you determine where to split hairs. As I've been putting together my
Yeah,
top
it's-
100, I've been doing the same thing, going, should I just say these 2 games, or should I like split them? But then it's like takes up more slots, and it's like always a tough call.
And it was tough because those 2 I felt exactly equal, and you could like argue that 2 numbers away
I was gonna say these are
equal.
basically equal too.
They are, but there is one in between, and it wasn't on purpose. I
Yeah.
just literally like.
That's why I wondered if it's possible that the original Zool could like overtake this one. But it
It's
sounds like you're pretty
possible.
like from what you've done, which is dozens and dozens of plays of both
Yes.
of them.
And the third one actually.
It's pretty locked in for you.
I still like the third one. I just
Yeah.
play it the least.
So if they slip, they'll slip like together.
Yeah, probably.
Or if they
The
rise.
pace just continue to go up for me.
Yeah, interesting. The
Like
more you play them.
even this one, since I've reviewed it, I've liked it more and more.
Well, that's impressive too, because we talked about Lost Cities a while back, how that one fell for you.
Yeah.
With like repeat plays, almost like you burned out on it. But if you can play something like this to death and it continues to rise, that's rarefied air. I mean, there's very few games that
Yeah.
do, at least for me, that do that.
Yeah.
Even my all-time favorites, I feel like I always worry, am I going to burn out at some
in
point?
fairness,
You know what I
have
mean?
played Lost Cities definitely more than these.
Oh, yeah.
So it's possible. It's
been out for a
when
lot
I get to the
longer.
same amount of plays, it might feel
Sure.
that way, but I don't know.
But I don't think it's going to drop. These are going to drop off your top 100.
Speaking of it, I
anytime
did play Lost Cities last night, by the way.
soon. Did you?
There you go.
Does it raise up a little bit now? No, I'm just kidding.
It was still excellent.
It's always good.
Azul number 15. This is the second one, the stained glass of Sintra.
Glass of Sintra. Nice.
Speaking of Lost Cities, number 14 is, other than Lost Cities, probably the best 2-player card game that's come out since Lost Cities. And we've
wow.
mentioned it in the same sentence of that, and it's a relatively recent game.
Mandala?
Good guess.
Yes, Mandala.
This game is... I've played this
It's so
maybe
good.
not as many times as Lost Cities, but it's getting close.
And we talked about games that are light, but as you play them a few times, like the depth emerges. And Mandala is absolutely that way. There's
Yeah.
so many different ways to play
I remember
this.
even at 15 plays, I was still being like, "Oh my gosh!
Oh, I could do it this, I could do
like,
that, yeah.
like light bulbs were still going off in different ways.
Yeah.
It's it's such a light game, and a
Hold on,
weird, a weird game.
Yes.
Can you name any other pure card games where you're just playing cards and drawing cards, not with a
Okay.
board or anything, but literally it's just a
Yeah.
card game with no numbers on the cards?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, you're right.
What an interesting design!
Yeah.
It's just colors.
It's just the quantity.
It's just
It doesn't matter they're all the same.
yeah.
I don't know, you look at the deck, you're like, this is all that's in here? It's just 6 colors
Yeah.
mixed together?
Yeah, you want to confuse people. You play this, and people walk by, and they just look at you like, "What the heck is that?"
But
Like,
once it clicks for you, it's so
the
interesting.
fact that you're playing too many games, the fact that like you're 2 little secret things that you know of, and
Yeah.
you're trying not to win one where you're going to be forced to take those
And that's
early.
just enough, even though it's just 2 cards,
Oh my gosh.
to really
make-
help focus you early on.
Yeah.
And then as you play, you can kind of pivot away from that if you need
Yeah.
to, or circumstances, push for that. But yeah, I love
And you like purposely play those cards on your side because you're like,
Yes.
now I guaranteed I'm not going to take those.
I love this too, where you can start really focusing on one when the other one's just not going your way, especially near the end of the game. And
Yeah.
we love games where you can kind of control the pace.
Yes.
This has an element of that too.
Yeah.
And you can just be like, whatever, I'm just going to keep working over here and like ignore that one and try to keep them sort of distracted. And so it's almost like this the game of like, shell game, trying to keep their focus on the other one as you're like worried about how
Yeah.
the other one's going to go.
It's very approachable, but it's
yeah.
also not the easiest teach because
No.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
not very intuitive of how things work. But again, like once it clicks,
Yes, it does.
you
Halfway through your first play, it'll click. If not, in the first few turns.
yeah.
Because it's not complex
Well,
at all.
Gamers, I'm thinking like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like non-gamers. Like
I don't think I've ever taught it to a non-gamer because usually if I'm playing with a non-gamer, it's a group.
Yeah.
But I've taught this to a lot of people, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is interesting." And I've known people who bought it, that I've taught it to, and then taught it to other people. So I've very I've evangelized Mandala.
So this.
This is so good. This feels like something we're going to be, like Lost Cities, we're going to be talking about in 10, 20, 30 years. I think
so.
it's arguably more elegant than Lost Cities
Yeah, I do too.
because there's no, there's math, but
again,
it's like,
even playing Lost Cities
it's like,
last night.
can you count to 6 of the math? I mean, that's it.
Turn 2.
Yeah.
I go, oh my gosh.
I should be playing Mandala.
No. Turn 2, I'm going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, turn 2, you're already like anguishing decisions.
Yeah.
This has that too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it sucks when you can't get the cards you need, and then you have to figure out some other way to skin the cat. I mean, I love Mandala.
If you like really clever card games that are not too hard to learn, but will have you playing them forever, this is one of them.
Yeah,
There's not that many.
And this reminds me, it was in it for some reason when I first played it, and I feel like you felt the same way. It reminded me of Hats.
Yes.
Which we both liked as well.
Yes.
But they were similar enough that I just stopped playing Hats. And just, if I want...
Hats was a little weird with 2. It was better with more.
Yeah, but I played it most with 2, and I liked it still at 2. But they were similar enough that once this came out, I was like, sorry, Hats. And I was really talking up Hats, and I was playing it like crazy and teaching it to everyone. And then this one came out, and I was like, okay, as long as it's 2 players, this is my go-to.
Yeah, Mandala.
So good.
The new modern-day classic of 2-player card games.
I think this is going to be an evergreen for me for like decades to come.
Forever. It's so good. Mandala.
It's always challenging.
Always.
Good choice. I'm not going to debunk this one at all.
Number 14, Mandala. Yeah, we're getting down to it. Number 13, and I'm kind of surprised that none of your ones from the envelope have come out yet, which means either
I think your predictions were pretty good.
Either you're going to do really good, or you're going to miss a bunch, and they just didn't even make the list.
There's no way that these games that I put in your top 10 aren't even in your top 100.
Okay.
I think I'm going to get 80%.
Well, I don't know, because this one might be under top 10. This
We'll
one
see.
is a social deduction game.
Let me see. No, I think I'm safe.
This is where there's been a murder, and you're trying to figure out not only who the murderer is, but how they did it.
Clue. No, I'm just kidding.
And the person giving all the clues to the good team can't talk. They can only just give little tidbits of information by putting tokens down.
Is this Werewords?
Nope.
Or Mysterium or Insider? Obscurio? No. It's got to be... What am I missing? Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I
You actually played on a playthrough of this on the channel many years ago.
Oh, Deception! Of course! Oh, how did I not come up with this sooner? No, I did not predict this as a top 10 for you. But I'm not at all surprised it's top 20. And
it probably would have been on the top 10, except I had a flat play of it over the last 3 months.
Really?
It was with non-gamers, which usually this is one that I've had success. But it just fell really flat.
People have to be willing to kind of throw out ideas, and if people sit back too much, is that what happened this time?
No,
it could get has the potential to be stale. Kind of like Terminal. If people aren't willing to engage with it, it could just be kind of.
We also had at the last game night, we played this with a group of 7 or 8, and it was awesome.
Does this go up to 10 or more?
12, I want to say.
And it works at like all player
Even
counts?
4 it works.
4 to 12? Like
I
how many
think it's
social deduction
12.
games work with that kind of range? I think it does go to 12.
Yeah, and there's been some expansions, some extra rolls.
Yeah.
One of the promo rolls was like, I can give away my one guess to show you that I'm not bad.
Didn't you get like a saxophone?
Oh yeah, the saxophone in there.
Weapon in there or something, Game Boy Geek card.
Saxophone, like an SD card for the camera.
This is a great game.
Yeah, the thing I love about this is you can bring this out with people and social deduction, but you don't even have to lie.
Right.
It's the only social deduction I know of.
You just float ideas.
Yeah. Someone could be like, oh, that's totally this. And you could go, you're right, it does sound like this and this, but it also sounds like this and this and this. And you're not lying.
Yeah.
You're just making observations.
He says, blood loss or something, and you go, well, how about the saw?
Right.
And it's like, you're not lying about saying that you're not bad. You're just saying this fits what he is saying.
Right.
And so I think there's just as much fun deduction, but there's no, there's not the anxiety that you might have in other games where you're like trying to figure out, how do I lie? I've never played this before, and you feel on the spot.
Sure.
This one kind of eliminates that in a really elegant way.
It does. It's amazing.
And I love that you could play to like 4 players.
4 to 12, I think.
We'll
double check right after this clip.
I think it does go to 12.
I'm just doing it from memory. Well, if I got side at 14 from BGG, I think the number 12 might stick in my head.
Yes, go back and watch the last video where Dan has this psychic moment of prediction. But yeah, Deception's a great choice, yeah. Kind of a grisly theme.
Yeah.
But so fun.
Yep, Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. This next one is a pure logic deduction game. And it came out before I was born.
Oh, Sleuth. Sleuth.
This game, you know what's funny? This is published by Eagle Griffin Games.
Yeah.
And I recently played it with somebody from Eagle Griffin Games who is a relatively new employee there. He's been there like a year.
Okay.
Maybe a year or two.
Okay.
And Eagle Griffin has like a ridiculously sized catalog
Sure.
of games. So you could never like play all of them.
And so many classics, like
Yeah.
all-time classic for sale.
He had
Inky
never
Gold.
played this.
Wow.
And so he was here, and I was like, you haven't played Sleuth before? He's like, no, I never played it. I was like, do you like deduction? He's like, yeah, I like deduction. We played it, and he was like, his mind was just blown. He's
It's
like,
the granddaddy of all of them.
this is so
It's like
good.
early 70s.
71.
I was going to say 73. Okay.
I thought it was 73 as well, but I looked it up yesterday or today.
Oh, really?
And it is 71.
It's Sid Saxon, right?
Sid Saxon.
And ironically, 71 is probably one of his later designs.
Yeah.
Because he was designing back in the like 60s.
Can you imagine this? It's in 1971, and it still is better than every other deduction game on my list except one.
I mean, besides like Clue, is there any game
This isn't on your list for top 10 for me?
No, I don't think so.
Wow. I thought you would have this because you know how much I love this.
No, and once again, this is not a surprise at all that's in your top 20. But
It's so good.
it's like
It's streamlined.
because he took out, like, you think of like Clue, he
took out the
took
board
out the
rolling.
board, the
And the
rolling, the
rolling.
move. He just got to the deduction.
Yes.
And I wonder if this is like the first of that kind of game.
Yeah.
That's just deduction.
The reason why I love
Nothing
these
else.
style like logic deduction games because when I was a kid,
Yeah.
at night, every night in bed, I had this little book of the logic puzzles.
Yeah.
So it's like Harry's taller than Sally, and Sally is 3 years younger than Bob, and you had those things. And I used to have books of these that you would get at the grocery store.
Kids, this is what we did before Netflix
Yes.
and video games.
Yes, both, and my dad loved them too. So like
Yeah.
we would do them together. Then at
great
night,
for the brain.
I would always do them in bed, and it's like this is like that. And that's
Yeah.
why I love these deduction games so
Yeah.
much. It's the reason why I'm an engineer. My brain just
Yeah.
thinks that way, right?
Yeah.
But this is like probably the most streamlined,
Yeah.
pure logic deduction game that's like excellent
Yeah.
out there. Period.
Like we said, just strips away all the fluff. It just gets down to the deduction.
yeah.
Yeah, it holds up. It's just as good as anything that's come out today. And if you like this genre, you got to play this one. And there's like a tiny version too, isn't there? Or no, I guess it's like this size.
Yeah, the box is
There's
that
been so
big.
many different versions of this
Yeah.
game over the years, but yeah, good
There you go.
choice
Sleuth. A fantastic logic and deduction game.
if you wanted to do homework.
If you want to have fun.
If you want to have fun and do homework.
Number 12. All right, now this one, number 11. Now the last two I really thought was going to be on your list.
Sleuth and
Deception.
Deception. Okay.
This one, I really think this one's going to be in the top 10 for you. This is a pure negotiation game where you're trying to influence different people and get to the top of a pyramid. And it's a gangster theme.
Oh, nothing personal. Nope.
Whoa!
No, I knew. Well, for me,
Just missed the top
this
10.
one dropped down for me a little bit, and I thought it might have for you as well. At one point, number one for you, right?
7 years ago when I did my top 100,
Yeah.
this was my number one game. And I
Yeah.
still love it.
Yeah.
In fact, but it's the original version I love. We
Yeah.
played the revised version, which takes it down to like 60 to
There's
90
pros and
minutes.
cons to it, aren't
They
there?
ended up taking out some of the really fun parts that we
Yeah,
love.
yeah.
And they introduced a lot of like reroll tokens. The original version, which you can't get anymore,
Yeah.
is the best. But it did drop for me just because it's
Yeah.
3 hours for us.
Yeah.
And you can have some flat plays of it. If
Yep.
people, like you said, if you don't have the right group and the right
People
people,
don't engage right. It can be weird.
but it also can be like the best experience ever.
Well, it's so open,
Yes.
and it's almost to a fault.
Yes.
And for me, that's why it slipped. Not that I don't still enjoy it, but you're right. It's a long play. It's very group dependent, and it's so open that it can just be like, okay, I just spent 3 hours working on this thing, and I lost because people just decided to help each other for whatever reason, or whatever. Or I just got in someone's bad side, and they just anytime someone's against me, they help them, and so it can be very king-makey. I mean, there's just a lot of weirdness, but when it works, it works so well.
There's nothing like it.
It's so fun. Yeah. I think the other games for me, like Tammany Hall and other ones that I think will come up later, next week, have elements of it, but they're like more structured, and so I enjoy them more. But yeah, this is definitely one that I considered as a top 10 for you. Let me double check my list here because I'm worried that I'm misspeaking. No, I didn't put it on.
No, I thought you would.
I think I'm going to get
Because
80%.
it was my number one before, I thought you'd have it on there.
I knew that it had slipped for you. I knew it would still be a top 100 game for you for sure, and I definitely considered it as a top 10. I think what happened is I picked out other ones too, and I was just like, well, these all have to be there, so I guess this one's going to slip.
Yeah.
But then again, I was wrong about 2 of them, so what do I know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you think? Would you recommend to people to pick up the new version? Because it's the only version available.
Yeah.
This is your number 11. I mean, if people are like, hey, this is the version I can get, you say it's not quite as good, but it's faster.
I think if you like open,
what's your advice?
I think if you like open negotiation games, I mean, try it. Try the new one.
Yeah.
You're still going to enjoy it. I just
Yeah.
think that the old version was better.
Yeah. 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 It's a fun theme too.
It is.
And a cool production. They got the like gold ring that you wear when you're
kiss my ring.
Kiss the ring. Like it really does bring the theme out. You start acting like you're this big shot.
Yeah, you're playing Godfather music in the background.
But you can drop off so fast. It's so dumb to get cocky in this game because everyone gets dethroned over and over again.
Yeah.
If you take an early lead, everyone gangs up on you.
Yeah.
This is not for everybody.
No.
A lot of people would hate this.
No, and in fact, the first time we played this game, we didn't play it with enough negotiation. We didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then I called the designer, called Steve Avery. We talked to him. He's like, no. Like, and he told me, he reminded me of some rules that like I knew but didn't realize the implications of like how that could drive strategies and stuff. So then the next time we played it, we all fell in love with it.
I think we played it like a Euro.
We did.
And we were like, okay, this is all right. But yeah, that's why I'm saying it's so dependent on that group and really understanding what you can do.
Yeah.
But it is nice that it's so open.
Yeah.
But it's also the downfall that it's so open.
Yep. It's a little fragile, but it can prove to have some of the most
so
memorable
fun.
experiences ever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Nothing
so
personal.
Brutal.
Number 11.
Good choice.
All right, well, there you got it. Numbers 20 through 11. There's only one left.
A lot of good stuff on that list.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think I got 80%. Tune in next week, people. I did it. I've got a B. Although there's one, and you'll have to tune in next week to see it. I'll explain it then. There's one that, I think I'm in the right family, but maybe not the right one. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
Well, there you go. Numbers 20 through 11. Tune in next week to see the final 2 videos about the top 10, where I'll talk about them myself and give you an idea of how the game's played and talking about why I love it. And then we'll have another session like this where we will go over the top 10 of all time.
Top 100 of all time.
Yeah.
Top 10 of the top 100.
Yep. So, this has been the Game Boy Geek.
Greg Dixon, thanks for watching, everybody.
See you next time. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing, thematic, premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.